Hi there, welcome to one of our first episodes of Rough Terrain Adventures, where we are not driving a track, not adventuring out. We testing up some equipment that was gifted to Squirrel for us to play around with, and we will utilize it where we need to in the future. So first of all, as you can see, I'm stuck. The options I have at the moment is a winch, snatch strap and the air jack. Now with the winch, I have nothing to winch onto. Alright, if Squirrel wasn't with me, I would have nobody to pull me out, so I'd be left to my own devices, and that leaves me with the air jack. Let's go take a look and see what all comes in the bag. With the air jack, we have a hose with an adaptation to connect onto your exhaust. We have some rubber mats. We have the actual air jack, and then a very handy, some more rubber mats, then a very handy bag. This bag is basically a watertight bag, in the sense that should I have been stuck in mud and all of this equipment is caked in sloshy mud, I can put it into this bag, close it over, wrap it round and seal it, so that once I throw it into the vehicle, all of the mud and water remains on the inside of the bag. Right, when we get to the air jack, let's have a quick look at this. This is going to be the first time I'm using it. You can see it's a very durable, high quality PVC material. You can see it's got a compressor valve. So in other words, this doesn't have to just be used off the exhaust. Should I have a problem and I cannot utilize the exhaust, I can use the air compressor. And then secondly, the inflation deflation valve. The hose clips into this to inflate. To deflate, I detach the hose, and you'll see there is a green button on the inside. Pressing that will release the air pressure. Right. The air hose has got a linking jack onto it, specifically to use that. Very easy, it's slide in and twist, and obviously to remove, twist in the opposite direction and slide straight off. Alright, let's go position all of this equipment and figure out exactly how we're going to utilize it. Take my glasses off for this. Okay, first thing we need to do is establish all of the areas that the vehicle is stuck and the conditions of this vehicle. So if I look underneath the vehicle, I can clearly see we're stuck in a hole. I can see that my pumpkin, the diff, is on the ground. If I move around, and I can see that there is a mound of sand. Let me just close this. I can see that there's a mound of sand that I'm on. So my first angle of attack is going to be to insert the airbag, get the airbag system functional and jacked up. I will then, with my spade, remove sand from the diff, and I will fill the hole that the wheel is in with sand. We will then deflate the jack and pack it away and drive off into the apparent sunset. Right, let's get this puppy going. So if I look underneath, I've got my mats, which I will use to protect the bag. Let's put my hose there. Getting ready, first thing, identify where your valves are. If you happen to slide it in the wrong way, you're going to have a problem attaching the hose. So for convenience, just line up, and you want the top of the bag and the bottom of the bag to be aligned, just so that you don't get a twist in it while you are inflating. But before we even get to the inflation, let's work out where we're going to place this bag. If I look underneath my vehicle, there are multiple components that can puncture this bag. So to protect the bag from those puncture points on the vehicle, we will add a rubber mat to the top of it. The rubber mat will add that layer of protection just to ensure we don't have a malfunction on the bag. However, we cannot just take note of the points on the vehicle. We need to pull things out that can create punctures, branches, very sharp rocks if they are able to be pulled out. As a safety measure, we will put rubber down at the bottom as well to ensure that it doesn't get punctured. Now, the advantage of an air jack in this scenario is that this air jack is about a 600 diameter base, which spreads the weight of the vehicle and spreads that load very evenly over a large section, resulting in the fact that it is much more stable and secure to jack up on that. This gives us the advantage of being able to jack up in the soft sand, jack up in mud, on clay, and on uneven surfaces, because the bag will also mold itself to the shape of the terrain that you are jacking up on. These are all, let's call it the pros, the advantages of an air jack. Yes, I could use a high lift jack. They are more designed for the front of the vehicle and the back of the vehicle. The air jack, however, can be used right the way around the vehicle. And having a very wide base means that it is a lot more stable. Its ability, a high lift jack you can push over much easier. A high lift jack in soft areas like this, in sand, in the dunes, you need a base plate as well, and that all adds weight. The weight of one of these is very, very light in comparison to a high lift jack. If you think about the amount of steel of that high lift jack, I would, as a guess, turn around and say that this must be at least about a quarter of the weight that you're loading in your vehicle to carry around with you as well. All right, let's get this positioned. Get right, I've got my valves. Because I do not know if there are any further sticks or anything sharp underneath the soil, I'm going to put down rubber mats. All right, one of the best places to position this is directly under your chassis. Be careful, you don't want to have it sticking out too far under your rock sliders and things like that. We want the chassis rail to try and cover 50% of this bag. So we're now going to slide it in again. Adjust it slightly. There, I'm on about my 50% mark. My valves are lined up to the front. I'm going to add a second level of protection. Just line him up. Right, we now have it lined up. Our next step, take the hose and get ready to connect this onto the vehicle. First thing I can see here already is that I don't have direct access to my exhaust either. In order to slide the cone onto it, I'm going to need to clear some of this sand as well to give me space. All right, I think that should be enough. You get different types of connectors onto exhausts. Some of them are bungs with multiple sizes that you will utilize to slide into the exhaust. This one uses the cone to slide over the exhaust. And it is as simple as sliding him on, giving him a twist. I'm going to make sure there's no unnecessary kinks, just unravel the hose and give myself a gentle radius, allowing myself to get to the bag. First of all, as said earlier on, I'm going to start the vehicle. If there is any moisture or water from today's activities in my exhaust, I do not want that moisture blown into the bag. It will help create rot areas and smells and unpleasantries inside the airbag, and is basically counterproductive to the runnings and safe guidelines of this equipment. So let's start the vehicle up. Okay, I can feel it. Remember, we are now working with exhaust emissions. You do not want to unnecessarily breathe these in. They are harmful. So when working with the airlift jack as well, please remember that. All right, I'm now going to connect onto the valve, in, twist. What I'm going to do now is gently feather the fuel to allow the exhaust emissions to start filling the bag. Right, from what we can see from here, with my exhaust being curved down, it doesn't seem to be holding, the cone doesn't seem to be holding onto it properly. There is a second feature on this, as mentioned, the compressor. So we're going to give that a go quickly. In order to do that, I'm going to detach the hose, twist, pull out. In fact, I'm not going to close that safety feature. I'm going to keep that open. If I need to deflate quickly, I've got direct access to it. Let's get the compressor out. Right, we're now connected up to the compressor line. With a compressor and the amount of volume of air that is inside that bag, you cannot run the compressor continuously to fill it. Run it for a short time period, switch it off, let it cool down. Run it for a short time period, switch it off, let it cool down. Same applies when you do your oversized tires and things like that on your vehicle. You look carefully. You can see the rear wheel is lifting as the sand is giving way. So it's definitely doing its job. I've switched it off once again just to give that compressor a little bit of a break, let it cool down a bit. You'll see with the valve it's not losing air. We can see to what extent it has already lifted the tire out. Right, I don't see a need to lift the vehicle any higher, but as you can see, the air jack has successfully lifted the vehicle right the way out. Let's just have a look at the stability of the vehicle. You could not do that on a high lift jack. Right, as you can see, I've now filled the hole with the sand with air jack. It is not infallible. Mistakes can happen, bag failure can occur. The general rules is while your vehicle is lifted on the air jack, do not get body parts underneath the vehicle. Should that airbag fail or rupture, This vehicle will drop in seconds. You don't need to lose an arm or a leg over a stuck vehicle. I'm now going to proceed to release air out of the airbag. Right, as we've said, the vehicle, the wheel is out of the hole. We are now going to start the deflation process. First thing I'm going to do is remove the airline. Right, cap is on. I'm going to physically remove everything out of harm's way. Remember, until the exhaust emissions are out of this bag can still rupture. We are not in the clear yet. The valve, the minute I start pressing it in, is going to expel air and lower the vehicle at the same time. That was quick and easy. You need to remove enough air out of the bag to be able to slide the bag out from underneath the car without it catching on any of the components. With one hand I'm just assisting it to deflate sufficiently to the point that I can pull it out. Now in order to close it, I'm going to add pressure onto it as you would any air mattress or half of the swimming pool equipment you've used for your kids in the past, just to deflate it further. Right. I've deflated it to the point that I can basically pack it away for one simple reason. I do not believe I'm going to have a problem driving this vehicle out. The Exhaust Air Jack, what a great tool. I quite like the versatility of application as well as the stability it offers. I've already had an incident with a high lift jack toppling over at Klein Tafelberg earlier on this year. Gave me quite the fright. So this will go to great use. The Exhaust Air Jack is added to the recovery kit, packed and waiting for the day we need it. Till next time.